Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacano with GoBlackKnights.com, along with Army Defensive Coordinator Nate Woody. Coach, first question for you. Three-year players received all conference honors this week. Linebacker and co-captain Andon Thomas, safety Casey Larkin, and sophomore defensive lineman Jack Balsam. Talk a little bit about those three guys and just the seasons they've had.
I'll tell you what, all three of those guys have had a great season, and it's not surprising to me. I think the awards are absolutely deserved. If you go back and look at the ball games, there's not many times when Andon Thomas wasn't at the top of the list as far as tackles and just making plays is great leader. And Casey Larkin has done a tremendous job on the back end, not just with tackles and pass breakups or coverage, but communication. I mean, just sort of quarterbacking the back end back there. He's done a tremendous job. Great communicator, good coverage, and outstanding tackler. And then Jack Balsam was someone that I really thought had a great future here. He's got an awful lot of potential. He just gets better every game that he plays, and it's really nice to see that he gets an award, from the conference and recognition that he deserves, because I think he's going to be one of the best defensive linemen that have come out of here, and there's been some really good ones over the years. So I think his ability to get off on the snap and run, hit, change direction. He's got it all, and he plays really hard. So proud of those guys. Really thought a lot more guys deserved
Right.
recognition, and it is what it is. But really glad that these guys stepped up and got something.
It's not that I want to spend the whole interview talking about this, but Colin Madison almost every week is towards the top of the PFF scores. So he's a guy that certainly could have been in there. You're kind of splitting hairs between him and Casey. Really, both of them are awesome on the back end there. And as you mentioned, Jack Balsam, just a really positively, not really maybe surprising season, but a good start for him. He's got kind of a really long frame, it looks like, just kind of eyeball test. Do you see him packing on more weight over the next couple of years, or do you kind of like him where he is?
I got to be honest with you. I like him where he's at right now. I think he moves that weight really well. It's not to say that he won't put on more weight. He's still young, and he's in the weight room all the time. Last year had an injury that kept him away from football and away from the weight room. So he's probably got a frame that he could put on more weight, but the athleticism is what you really need at that end to the field. A guy that can rush the passer, a guy that sometimes can handle the quarterback on the option game, and then big enough, strong enough to handle a dive threat as well. So I think his future is really bright for us, and I'm excited to get the opportunity to coach him again.
Good stuff. Typically Army Navy is a very low scoring affair, right? Especially in the 5 years since you've been the DC at Army. However, last year Navy's offense kind of broke the trend a little bit with 31 points. And I know they were helped by some turnovers, a successful fake punt, right? There's some extenuating circumstances there. What makes their offense now under Drew Cronick and the command of Blake Horvath such a challenge to defend?
That's a good question. I think this year, if you go back and look, they're probably averaging well over 30 points a ball game, and there's some times where they left some points out there where maybe a turnover or a mistake near the goal line might have cost them points. So it's an explosive offense. It's not one that is really built for 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, and go for it on fourth down. It's one that he's looking to score as many points as he can, and he does that. It seems like every ball game, and maybe the fewest points they scored this year was what was it, the North Texas game maybe,
Yeah.
or Notre Dame, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Notre Dame, but they didn't have Not that Woodson's much of a drop off from Horvath, honestly, but they didn't have Horvath for that game. So yeah,
That's a good point. But you're
yeah,
right. They've got their two quarterbacks, maybe the two best athletes, on the field.
from the team. Yeah.
Yeah, and just really, athletic. They got guys at key positions that have experience. They got good speed. And they're athletic, smart. Good football players. So it's a challenge. You know, the the amount of points that we give up. I think a lot of times um, we made plays in the red zone. Last year that we didn't make in the Navy game, and that's one of the things that we've been working on quite a bit you know this time around, and we'll continue to work on it because if you can knock off points in the red zone, then that's a momentum deal for you. And as long as you don't give up the big plays that cost you the touchdown, if you can keep them to kicking field goals, then you give yourself a chance to win. I think whatever the score was, at one point late in the ball game, I think maybe right before the fake punt, I think it was a one-score game.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you're in that thing, and then we got to do everybody's got to do their job, the assignment. And sometimes when you get matched up with someone that's really fast, your eyes may wander just a little bit, just trying to see, can I catch up to where he's going instead of tracking, that near hip to where he may, beat you on that cutback. And as you watch back at a lot of film, they do outrun some guys, but they'll do a great job of taking advantage of over pursuit. And they do that not only in the run game, but in the passing game as well. They do a really good job of leaking out, receivers and backs, against the grain, against the pursuit, and then throwing the football back to them. And that's got to be something that we do a really good job of with our eyes and understanding our assignment. So if we do that well, we don't get confused with the smoke and mirrors, that with all the motion and shifts and all that. Then I think we'll be up to the task.
It's funny because I promise for those of you watching that I didn't give Coach Woody my questions ahead of time. He pretty much already answered my next question. I was going to talk about the misdirection. And, I know all year from talking to Andon and Caleb and Casey and all your guys, how much you guys stress eye discipline and how important it is against everybody. But specifically Navy with all the eye candy they throw at you, misdirection, how critical it is making sure all 11 guys have their eyes in the right place.
I'm gonna tell you what, it's hard because you don't just have one thing to do on each play. You got if your guy his hat goes one way, then you may have a next read that you got to go to, or from a leverage standpoint, he may start to stress your leverage on one thing, and then all of a sudden he changed direction, and now you've got to come back and go to your set or next read and next option. So you don't just stay with one guy every time, during the ball game. So things change during the course of a play. So is it hard? You better believe it is. But the guys have done a really good job, over the years of eye discipline and leverage, and that's afforded us opportunities to win ball games. And hopefully this one is another one that will do a really good job of staying on target and keeping the proper leverage on the play.
And you mentioned their passing game, right? Typically, when we think of academy football, we think of triple option, running the ball. But Navy's thrown for well over 1,000 yards this year. Their slot backs are very dangerous in the passing game, both of them as receivers. How when you're trying to play the option, especially maybe from a safety position, we talked about Casey and Colin Madison, right? You've got pitch responsibilities and other responsibilities in the option game. How important is it to make sure you're also remembering that they can go play action and burn you deep?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've sort of understand now as we play against Coach Cronic and his offense. Understand it's not just an option offense. You know what he's got wing T principles that he goes to town with. He's got great play action, you know, boot and screens, and there is a little bit of the option element in his game. You still got power, you got counter, you got everything that everybody else runs. You know, whether it's zone or you name it, they've got it. So they do a really nice job of play selection, I think, and they do a really nice job of putting stress on you as far as whether it's run or pass. And it's not just the short passes; it's the deep ones. So if you give up the pass, man, you know that's those are touchdowns, and that's a little bit of what Air Force did in the game against Navy. They gave up a lot of the you know passes through the air, and you know we just got to do a great job of understanding who the play action pass defender is, and who is a force player, and then who is the who's got the quarterback when he does run it, and who's got the back. So, you know, our guys are working hard. You know, after today's practice, I wouldn't say that we're there yet. We still got some work to do, and we may have to trim some of the things that we do defensively in order to get a little bit more consistent with what we're doing. But we'll see. We still got some time to work on it.
You mentioned it's funny you're like one step ahead of me the whole time. This is great. You mentioned screen passes, and you know, in almost every Army Navy game, even before you were DC, it seems like Navy hits a big screen pass at some point in the game. Last year it was on their opening drive to get them down into the red zone. What can you guys do to maybe defend the screens a little better?
I think the screen sometimes will work against your pursuit. It'll work against your pass rush, and you know it's just a matter of understanding you know your assignment, and then sometimes when you feel that offensive lineman you know leaving you know where he starts to block you, and then he may hit you and try to get up the field you know, for the screen, you got to be able to retrace. And sometimes when you get caught in some of the stunts, you don't realize that lineman is leaving, and that you thought that maybe you beat that protection with your stunt. And you got to be able to understand which guy is responsible for the screen and which guy is going to go to the quarterback. And that's something that we didn't do a good job of last year. Not just in that not just in that one game, but a couple of games.
Good stuff. Hey, Coach Woody, really appreciate your time. Thank you for your insight. Best of success to you through the rest of the preparation here the next 2 weeks. I know it's really hard work for the staff and the players, but also know that Army always comes out ready for that game, and know that you guys always create a few surprises. So we're looking forward to it. Again, appreciate it, and thanks for taking the time. And have a great night. Go Army, beat Navy.